All right, hello, hello. We're back. Have some fun, Morgana, tonight. I am very excited to see where this is going, and I think maybe we're getting near the end. We've got to the happy part, so they're about to undoubtedly break my heart, and I'm here for it. I'm not emotionally ready, but I don't think I'll ever be. So, let's get started. Let's go through our recap. All right. So, Giselle woke up to a man named Amade tending to her after she almost died, running from the mansion and trying to warm her up with porridge. She didn't have much energy or will to live at first. Amade attributed Giselle's survival to God and let her stay in his secluded village, no questions asked. Amade explained how they settled the ruins of a once prosperous city that got wiped out by the witch's curse, according to the tablets they found. Giselle's life got happier at the village and she played with the children. Amade talked about how he wants kids and basically proposed to her, and he kept bringing it up when she said that she would consider it. A lord found out about the village and intends to tax it, so they need more farmhands, which led to more social conflict. The villagers ganged up on Giselle to scapegoat the outsider for theft. Amade held a kangaroo court to toilet waterboard her. Yeah, let me just say that. Ugh. I was thinking about that the other day, and skin crawling, man. I can't. Mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. The village decided to make Giselle communal property unless she paid off the stolen goods with something of equal value, so she pointed them to the house for Michael's furniture, and the mob barged in. Michael rolled with the witch curse stuff when they called him a demon. The village threw Giselle under the bus for the plan, and he demanded they give her to him as payment and get the fuck out forever. Then he read her the riot act and demanded she leave, but she lost the will to live and told him that she'll only leave if he kills her off with his curse. She finally broke down and revealed what Antonin did to her, so Michael calmed down and finally listened to her, even if believing her harsh truths is hard. Michael realized that the letter telling Giselle to care for him was falsely sent by his brother because his father believes him to be dead. According to Michael, his albinism and the deaths around him made him a pariah that the Bollinger family tried to keep secret. Also, he says he can hear the voice of the witch, so Giselle wants to live with him to drown out the witch. Yeah, she also doesn't believe him, as a reminder. She thinks he's just lived alone too long and has been very lonely and a little mad. Michael and Giselle finally apologized and made amends to one another. To improve the feng shui of the house, they opened the windows, or at least the ones that weren't boarded up. And if we stop right here, we can continue to pretend that they lived happily ever after and that Hot Maid was showing us stories of completely unrelated persons. But we do need Hot Maid to see this through to the end, even if it hurts. Yeah, and it's gonna hurt, guys. I'm not ready for this. I am ready for this, but I'm not ready. Like, all right, we can do this. We got this, right? I was even rushing for stream, so like, there's a part of me that is like still completely out of it. My hair is still wet. All right. Master, come on, get up. Up with you. Master. Huh? See, what did I tell you? It's so much nicer in here with a little light. Morning. Wait a sec. Don't you hide under your bedspread. Get out of there. I'm fine with my room staying dark. What's she even doing in here? Oh, but Master, you agreed that I could open the windows. I did. Yes. Don't worry, I've put curtains up. If it gets too bright, you can draw them. Mornings take the best parts of being outside and squeeze them all into the same few hours. I need someone to remind me of that every time there's a morning. Yeah, morning would go away. You don't have to go outside in the sunlight for it either. Just listen to all the wonderful sounds. The joyous songs of the birds, the swaying of the trees, the rustling of the leaves. Uh, am I being as pushy as I feel right now? Kind of. Uh, but you wouldn't be you if you weren't, so for now I won't get on you about it. Also, now that I know your real intentions, um, no, never mind. I completely misjudged you. You're the exact opposite of what I thought you were. What did you think of me? I probably would not want to ask that question, I'll be completely honest. Let's see. I thought you were cold and cruel, heartless and incomprehensible, but I'm beginning to get a better idea. You try to put on airs, but you're really rather childish. You have a short temper, but can be surprisingly playful. What else? You have a pretty difficult personality, too. There is not a single good trait on that list. Now, hear me out here. That's not everything. You gave me a chance to talk, and you listened intently. You can be kind of nice, too. We agreed that we would live together, not just in the same house, so we've got plenty of time to add more to the list. And I hope you can make your own list about me, too. This is just the beginning, after all. We've got a long, long time ahead of us. Plenty enough to get to know each other now. Let's not waste any time, then. What do you say we do something today that we haven't been able to before? Where should we begin? Oh, I know! We can get this place cleaned up! Yeah, I don't think that's something we haven't been able to do before. You want to clean? Now that there's some actual light in here, we can see all sorts of things we'd probably rather not. Like dust. All over the place. My vision was still slightly unfocused, having not completely escaped from Morpheus's embrace, but I could see well enough to catch her smiling brightly. That was the first time I had gotten a good look at her in the light. I could see facial features I had missed during yesterday's commotion, and those glittering eyes. Not even a trace of the tribulation she had endured tainted her pure jade eyes. She's surprisingly good looking. I am clearly not myself right now. Is something the matter, Master? I know. You're still half asleep, aren't you? I guess I'm just gonna have to throw my best bucket of water on you. What is a best bucket of water? I'm awake. Is there something on my face then? Just far too amusing a sight to wake up to. Amusing? Oh, just get out of bed already. What a noisy morning. I am weak to banter. I love the two of them. I got my first decent look at Michael's face under the light that morning, watching him stifle a yawn as he crawled out of bed. All the little details I hadn't been able to pick up on in the darkness. His expressions, mannerisms, and the way he looked at me. I could see facial features I had missed during yesterday's commotion, and those vivid, all-consuming red eyes. I was probably, no, almost certainly, making a really dumb face at him. I- Is it just me? Or is he kind of, no, very pretty? Yeah, the best bucket of water is a clean one with absolutely no waste in it. Ugh, ugh. How could I have not noticed until now? Oh, geez. Wow, I can't look him in the eyes. Uh, um, yes? What can I do for you? Is there something on my face? I, no, huh? Hair monster! Excuse me? No, your hair, it's really long. Yes, that's it, way too long. Is that any way for a servant to speak to her master? Oh. I'm just kidding. I don't have any interest in holding your status against you anymore. Uh, I see. It's really hard to tell if he's joking or not.
So, about that cleaning. May I wash my face first?
What? You're going to help?
As I just said, I'm not going to act like I'm superior to you anymore.
Yeah, Michael hasn't read enough shoujo manga. He has no idea how to deal with a crush. It's okay, Giselle isn't doing much better, so...
What are you snickering about?
I can't help it. I'm happy.
If my hair really does bother you, you can cut it.
Huh? I can cut it? Of course! I'll give you the best haircut you've ever had. Oh, but I should warn you, you'll want to stay perfectly still. I'm a monster with a pair of scissors. My sister always said you were as likely to lose an ear as you were your hair whenever I cut it.
You stay away from me.
They're cute. They're so cute. Why is this gonna end? I was shocked at how much more comfortable I felt around her only one day following our opening up to each other. Maybe this was normal, and I had simply never felt it before. I didn't know. I had thought it would take years of work to get close enough to someone to be able to have a conversation without picking apart every little detail. But here I was, a day later, already there. Was that how it usually worked? Did people normally get close and draw apart so freely? I didn't find it unpleasant to have someone else around. It was a strange feeling. All that friction had dissipated in an instant, and it was like we had known each other for years. Though not entirely willingly, we began sharing meals, something I had always done by myself. Hey, I see you shoving aside that parsnip. You need to eat everything.
Do you have any idea why there was so much rotting parsnip in the cellar? I don't care for it.
You could at least pretend to be ashamed. Yeesh, you're not a kid, so don't be so picky. It's not good for you.
Hasn't caused any problems thus far.
It will soon enough. Aw, I can't believe you. We have limited supplies and you won't eat your vegetables? Okay, a parsnip is only kind of a vegetable. Like, I get that it is a vegetable, but it's like saying a potato's a vegetable, in my opinion. There we go. I won't cut too much of your hair. I need something to pull when we... Never mind, let's not go there. Ooh, question. I've got an idea.
Go on.
Is the list of supplies set by your family set in stone?
Meaning?
I was just wondering if it was possible to make requests. If I could, I would just go out on a shopping trip.
Perish the thought. The only village around here is the one you came from.
Right. Say, are you saying that out of concern for...
Who would ever be concerned about you? I just want to be able to sleep well at night, and I'm not interested in throwing more servants to the lions.
You know, you're a whole lot simpler of a person than I first thought.
What's that supposed to mean?
Oh, nothing.
Back to your question about the delivery. Yes, you can. I haven't made any requests recently, but you can write what you want on a sheet of parchment. Or, if we don't have any, something similar. Put it in the box and leave it outside. As long as your request is not completely unreasonable, it should arrive with the next package. Why, is there something you need?
There we go. There is a difference between scientifically a vegetable and culturally a vegetable, such as tomatoes. So, parsnip is, in my opinion, only scientifically a vegetable. Yeah, I was hoping to increase our selection of vegetables. And while I'm at it, if possible... Actually, that's a secret.
A secret?
It's nothing too exciting. I'll tell you when the time is right. My relationship with Michael gradually transitioned from master and servant to something closer to friends. He was still my master, but he allowed me almost complete freedom. And he didn't order me around either. He even gave me a hand with my work. Though he was still not very talkative and oftentimes hard to read, he at least seemed to be making an effort to close the gap. He would, on occasion, tell me about himself, though not in much detail, and any time his family came up, he grimaced uncomfortably. Apparently, his father had wanted him dead. His brothers, though, had worked to create a scenario in which he could live, faking his death and sending him to this remote mansion. I had never encountered Michael's brothers while at his family's estate, but assuming he was right and it was one of them who had given me that letter, they were likely our only allies at that house. I don't know what he's thinking. It's been 10 years, Michael had muttered, to which I had replied, have faith. It was better to believe in something, even if it felt silly and unreasonable, than to lose faith in everything. My being able to find renewed belief in the kindness of people was what had allowed me to start smiling again, after all.
What if his brothers are dead? That's a possibility. I don't like that possibility, but it is a possibility.
Because I was able to have that faith, I was able to enjoy life once more. It wasn't an exciting or thrilling life. It was a humble, simple one with just the two of us. But I wouldn't trade that light for anything. Some people might think it dull or dreary, but it was ours. Master, I really, truly appreciate that you want to help with the cooking. I do, honestly, but this is apocalyptic. This is mutinous. This is an affront to gastronomy. This is unearthly disgusting.
Get me better ingredients.
What?
I'm not a bad cook. These are simply bad ingredients. If they were better, they would taste just fine boiled. And it's not as bad as you claim, besides.
You make a mockery of the culinary arts.
I've been eating this for years. I don't see the problem.
I've heard quite enough, Master. It sounds like I'm going to need to put your taste buds through some intense rehabilitation. I have to teach him what real food tastes like. Otherwise, he won't be able to appreciate it if I make him something really good.
You got your cute cooking montage. We're going through all of the, little shoujo things. Is this going to be, he puts the book, right above her on the shelf or something?
Hold the chair steady for me, will you? I'm going to wipe down the top shelf.
I can handle it. I'm tall enough to reach without standing on a chair.
It's not as simple as just running a rag over it. I've got practice, so let me take care of it, all right? There's a lot more dust than I expected. I probably should have used something to cover my mouth. You're going to want to hold your breath for this, Master. All right, here goes.
She's quite practiced. Is there any need for me to be holding the chair?
Achoo!
Huh?
What?
Huh? What? Huh?
Hold the chair! Ow. I'm so sorry. I didn't think there would be that much dust.
There we go. In order to understand how to cook to your liking, I need to understand your taste buds thoroughly. Stick out your tongue and let me lick them. Girl, you could be flirting a lot harder with him. He is cute, so.
Thank you for holding the... Master? Your hand is...
What?
Your hand is, it's on my chest.
It was an accident.
Right, it was. It's fine, really. It was my fault anyway. It's completely, totally fine.
I can't even look her in the eyes. Could this be any more painfully awkward?
So don't worry about it, Master. Honestly, I should be apologizing for subjecting you to that.
That's easier said than done. I have to do something about this stifling awkwardness. For one, it was only a moment. I barely even realized what it was. But that's not the issue. I need some clever way to brush all this aside. Something witty that tells her I'm not bothered at all. Uh, I'm not concerned. In fact, I see no reason to be concerned at all. It felt like I was squeezing an obese rat. Sorry. I'm just trying to imagine saying that to someone. I hardly even perceived it as impressed. Oh God, please shut up. That's his way of saying they're big. An obese rat. An obese rat. What?
How utterly insensitive can you be? I'm going to rip every last hair off your head.
Leave my hair out of this. Obese rat. New compliment has dropped. Flirt with the ladies by telling them their breasts are like obese rats.
Is that a fat joke? Are you calling me fat? Say, master, what did you do all this time by yourself?
That's an exceedingly vague question.
Okay, say when you were really, really stupidly bored out of your mind. What did you do to keep yourself occupied?
Meditate?
Just how many times have you reached enlightenment?
I sometimes played chess, too.
Chess? Wait, by yourself?
Yes. I imagine how an opponent might react to my moves and play the other side that way. That's kind of depressing to think about. Not kind of, that is very depressing to think about.
How about this, master? Play a game against me.
Do you know the rules?
You bet I do. I do come from a family of merchants, so I keep up with the trends and know all sorts of games.
Uh-huh.
Prepare to meet your maker.
This man has been playing chess for like 10 years alone. I think he'll be okay. So, who was I supposed to prepare to meet again?
Come on, have a little mercy. You trounced me. One more time. I just wasn't at the top of my game.
When am I going to meet this, maker?
What? How? When did you put me in checkmate? One more. Hold on. That's not fair. Take it back. My king. Please stop.
Amateur.
Can't you just go a little bit easy?
You never asked me to go easy.
This isn't a game. This is slaughter. This is a one-sided massacre.
About this maker.
I'm looking right at him.
That was actually kind of fun.
No, it wasn't. It was miserable. Next time we're playing something fair.
Such as?
Let's see. Oh, I know. Arm wrestling.
Huh? Arm wrestling?
Yeah, you sit across from each other, put your elbow on the table, grab hands, and see who can pin the other down.
Who would ever willingly participate in such a primitive competition?
Not interested then? Or are you afraid you might lose?
All right then. I can't imagine losing to a woman.
All right. Elbow on the table. Start on my count. Ready? Go. Victory!
AKA hand-holding. Arm wrestling, hand-holding. It's just violent hand-holding. They're so cute.
See, this is how it could have been if we'd just accepted the maid. Or I guess this is how it could be in the future, maybe? With each passing day, it grew less and less unusual having Giselle always at my side. I began more freely engaging in silliness, speaking my mind, and showing emotion. I could say her name, and Giselle would turn around and smile at me. An unimaginable sight not long ago. For 10 years, for 10 years, I had lived alone. Solitude had been my normal, but that was very rapidly changing at her hands. We were continually getting closer, yes, but not in a romantic sense. If I had to describe it, I would say good friends was probably the most apt. Time continued to press on, our relationship remaining relatively stable. Eventually, summer came, bringing with it the longest periods of sunlight I had experienced in many years. Then the leaves began falling from the trees, and before long the world grew cold and dreary. That winter, the fireplace was never without a crackling blaze in its belly. The boiled wine we drank was undoubtedly middling and cheap. But she said with a smile, "I've never had wine this good before." And though I didn't say anything, I felt the same way. The sun set much earlier, and having stopped using candles, we found ourselves habitually gathering around the fireplace when it grew dark. Oh no, is the sun going to kill him? He is a vampire. Reading a story by the fireplace like this almost feels like we're in another world, doesn't it, Master?
Has her hair just not grown in like 9 months?
I bet that's why troubadours perform at pubs, so they can be near the fire.
Or because there's ale. Drunkenness makes even bad singing and storytelling pleasant to the ears.
Oh, you're such a cynic. But that's okay. Say,
Yes?
do you remember when I first arrived here? When I was cleaning the library?
Please don't tell me you're bringing the obese rat incident up again.
No, not that. Before that.
That's true. She did offer to cut his hair, so she can probably cut her own hair.
Before we could actually, talk to each other. I believe I suggested we read something together if you ever felt the inclination.
You might have. I can't say I remember.
Are you sure about that? You turned down my proposal saying that I was wasting my time. But look, it actually happened. Even if you don't remember, I'm sure you never thought this moment would come. I was, for the most part, focused on making sure things didn't get any worse between us. But to be honest, I didn't expect there would ever actually come a time we would sit to shoulder and read a book. You never know how things might pan out.
I actually do remember. I remember how I tried to push her away, how much I mistrusted her. I was nothing but hostile towards her. People change. And perhaps, if they can, so can the future. Maybe I can hope that, like our friendship, there's a chance the future might take a turn for the better.
Hmm? Is something the matter?
I I don't much care for hypotheticals, but if by some chance I were someday to be able to return to that house, should that time come, that house is home to her nightmares. Even if it didn't happen until after my father was gone, it wouldn't erase what he had done to her there. She acts like nothing's wrong, though. I don't know. Have her wounds healed, or do they still remain? Should that
Should that time come?
should that time come, if that day comes. I will do what I can to ensure you have a comfortable life in the city. Though I will not be able to inherit the estate, I can work something out.
I I see. Thank you very much.
But if you would be comfortable doing so, I would be pleased if you were to join me.
Huh?
Uh, um, I, I, I mean, as a servant.
As a servant.
Yes, a servant. We're, short on hands.
I see. A servant.
Do I really need to repeat myself? Yes, as a servant. There we go. I can work something out. I can become an investor and make money off the railroad industry.
All right. Sure. I think I will. I would like to accompany you, Master. How exciting! I'm sure a wonderful future awaits us.
I pray so.
Now, back to the story. I believe we just gotten to the point where the knights set out to defeat the monster and save the princess. I bet he was a big, buff, muscular knight.
Let's not talk about how muscular he was.
She let out a gentle laugh, and I thought I smelled something sweet on her breath. Was it her scent?
Or perhaps just my imagination. I had no way of knowing. We sat so close, even the slightest shift seemed sufficient to allow me to hear the sound of her heartbeat, causing mine to accelerate. Curiosities flooded my mind. What might she be thinking right now? What does she think about me? And as much as I tried to banish them, I frustratingly failed. I was just getting caught up in the moment. I just briefly lost my way. Though I tried to convince myself otherwise, it was all in vain. When had my pulse gotten so rapid? When had my skin gotten so flushed? When? How? Why was this happening to me? I thought I had already learned my lesson about having feelings for someone else. Before long, winter retreated and our second spring came to take its place. A full year had passed since we had resumed living together. And I don't think it was my imagination that this year felt much warmer than last. Spring seemed to have arrived a bit earlier than in previous years. One night, when the breeze carried it on a pleasant residual warmth, Giselle escorted me out to the garden.
Come on, Master, hurry up!
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe maybe the person he loved was Abby. Because remember, her portrait was in his room. So maybe? It's the middle of the night. What's so important?
I just found it myself, and I couldn't wait until morning.
Hmm?
A rose, it blossomed.
A rose? Oh.
Giselle had, over the past year, cleaned up the nest of weeds that had been strangling the garden. Off to the side of a small plot of turned soil, swaying in the wind beneath the moonlight, was a single red rose.
When did you...
Last year, I requested flower seeds, but I just couldn't get them to grow, and I was starting to think they never would. But look, it's only one, but it did.
I had no idea.
Of course you didn't. I didn't tell you.
Why would you keep it from me?
I wanted to make it a gift for you, Master.
Yeah, the fire trucks were going by. What? Why?
Roses make wonderful gifts, supposedly.
No, that's not what I meant. Why me? Michael, who else is she going to be giving gifts to? There's no one else here. Yeah, I hope everything's okay wherever they're going. They went a different direction, so... I haven't given you anything.
Consider it a symbol of my hope that we'll still be this close another year from now. If we are, then this is yours.
I don't follow her reasoning. I don't follow it at all, but
The sight of the deep red rose almost melting into the dark night was perhaps the most wondrous thing I had ever seen in my life. I had never understood why some people found flowers so enchanting. They were always just plants to me. But that one, on that night, was undeniably beautiful, majestic. And like a young child seeing a flower for the very first time, my hand automatically reached out for it. Not knowing the proper way to appreciate flowers, I didn't gently caress its petals or take in its fragrance, but snapped its stem. Oh, you picked it? Are you going to bring it back to your room? When I finally processed her question, that was when I realized I probably should have left it to grow in the garden. Yeah. No, I was going to give the rose to Amade. Of course I grew this for you, baka. From the base of its stem, where I had plucked it, a droplet succumbed to gravity and fell to the earth. With it came the delayed realization that I had ended the plant's life. But it was overpowered by childish possessiveness. This stunning flower was mine. Moonlight trickled down from the heavens, giving a gentle bluish tint to my hands and the smile on her face. You're going to need a vase then. Give me just a minute. For the briefest moment, the moonlight must have played a trick on my mind. Hmm? Huh? Uh, uh, Master? What on earth am I doing? A look of bewilderment filled Giselle's face, just inches from mine, which hammered in the reality of what I had just done. The thought had just crossed my mind that perhaps her black hair might prove a good backdrop for the rose, but it was supposed to remain a simple fantasy. Well, what was that about? An excuse. I need a good excuse. Uh, a drawing. A drawing? Right, I would like to preserve it on canvas. What? Um, what? I mean, the rose on its own does not make a very compelling picture, so I would like to include you as an accessory. Wait, you want to draw me too? Merely as a background element. You're slightly more interesting than a vase, that's all. I've never seen you draw anything before. Uh, I just never got the urge. You know how? Many, many years ago, my brother taught me. I, I don't think I can handle being a model. I've never had a drawing done of me before. You would probably be better off with just the rose. You gave it to me, didn't you? That means I'm free to do with it as I please. Uh, I did. I didn't mean to sound so rude. I had no real interest in drawing the rose. But I couldn't just take it back either. There we go. Think I need to say something that doesn't make her think I like her. I wish to paint your ethereal beauty. Nailed it. Giselle had shrunk back quite visibly, and I couldn't bring myself to look her in the eyes. So I fled to the cellar in search of supplies to escape the oppressive awkwardness. At the far wall, I found a rectangular panel of wood and several sticks of charcoal. My materials were obviously nothing compared to what a court artist might use, but I was clearly not going to be able to do the portrait any kind of justice. That's just going to be a stick figure with a little daisy flower. God, what am I doing? I want to bury my head in the sand. Giselle was waiting for me in the stained glass chamber. It seemed she was just as uncomfortable as when I had left her. She gave me a fleeting glance before averting her gaze again. If only she would laugh or make a scene like usual, it would make things so much easier. Why did she have to choose now to start acting meek? Um, what should I be doing? Stay perfectly still, please. Do you need me to pose or anything? No, just get comfortable. Look away. Oh, why?
It's hard to work when you're watching me.
Um,
What?
I feel like I have to sneeze.
Hold it in, please.
Um,
What now?
can I see it?
I've barely drawn anything yet. As long as our eyes didn't meet, I was able to observe her, and my gaze was quite clearly not focused on the rose. But, Giselle, at first I had regretted my in the moment proposition, but I was beginning to think it hadn't been such a bad idea. Without some sort of pretext, I would never have been able to examine her so intently. I didn't have that kind of courage.
Yeah, wow, you got my face right to the last detail. Forgot about the rose, though.
Oh, this isn't like me. But what was like me? Did I prefer being a sharp tongued, unapproachable recluse? Was that what I wanted to strive for? Giselle was like a gale. Her mere presence dispersed the gloomy cloud that always hovered around me. Thinking about it, it's practically a miracle that we ever ended up so comfortable around each other, that she's still here right now. Light from the moon spilled through the stained glass window, taking on a multitude of pale tones before falling on her white skin and jade eyes. I had stopped sketching at some point. 3 hours later, and we do have the little stick figure. Um, what in the world was going on? One of my roses had finally bloomed, which I thought would put a smile on Michael's face. But rather than improve his mood, it had made him go all strange. It had made him say he wanted to draw something. I had never seen Michael draw anything before. Ugh, I can't sit still. I tried to sneak peeks of him every once in a while, but anytime our eyes met, he gave me a stern look that way stare. So I ended up spending a whole lot of time looking at the archangel in the stained glass window. What could he be thinking? Could this be thanks for the rose? I'm pretty sure he's not the type who would consider a drawing an expression of gratitude, though. If I'm wrong about that, it'll turn my whole world upside down. Maybe he wanted to draw me? No, not possible. That would turn the world upside down even faster. He couldn't. We're close, to be sure, but we're not that kind of close. That makes it sound like Michael's uh, attracted to me. And there's no way. There's absolutely no way. He compares me to an obese rat and calls me an amateur at chess, laughing while he crushes me. So that's not what this is it? Yeah, he likes you. Um,
Oh, yes?
if if it's too much trouble, you're free to leave. This will take a very long time to complete.
Oh, no, no trouble.
You had a very stern look on your face is all.
I was doing that bad a job at hiding it?
I don't want to force you to do anything you don't want. It was foolish of me to ask of you. I'm sorry. That's just what kids do when they don't know how to say they like someone. Hi, I'd like to draw you.
Honestly, it's no trouble. I mean it. You just took me by surprise, that's all.
I'm not even that great of an artist to begin with. That's not a talent I was blessed with. If I'm being honest with myself, I can't imagine anyone would be pleased to have bad art drawn of them.
What? What's he getting so negative about?
Yeah, hi, I'd like to draw you, you obese rat. This is flirting in 2024. I wasn't the only one making a face. His head was turned slightly downward, a forlorn shimmer in his eyes. I had never seen him make that face before. He resembled a child who had just been scorned by his mother. I wasn't at all angry or displeased with him. I was just fine, honestly. I had to get that through to him.
I am pleased.
Yeah, flirting in 1099.
It doesn't matter how it turns out. You drew it for me, master. Whether it's good or bad is irrelevant. I would. But the moonlight shining through the stained glass was so enchanting, I lost myself in it. I would be happy with anything drawn for me by the man I love. Girl! There we go. Now I'm imagining Michael showing her the complete painting and her chest is just drawn as obese rats. For an instant, time froze. By the time I realized what I had said, my mind had gone blank and I couldn't form a coherent thought. Um, uh, I mean, like, you know, like, like family. You're like an older brother to me. I meant love, like love for a brother. Uh, hey, say something, master. Give me your usual exasperated sigh. Come on now. Go on, give me your best good grief, and then hurl me out the window. Oh, come on, please. Show me some disappointment. Master? Hmm? Uh, uh. When the wood panel he was using as a canvas and the charcoal in his hand crashed to the hard chapel floor, the clattering was so loud I jumped. I didn't have the presence of mind to wonder why he had knocked over the canvas, or why his hands appeared to be shaking. Let me help you with that. I stepped towards him. Yeah, oh, trying to brozone him. And when I did, the moonlight shining down upon us intensified, and our gazes of jade and ruby intertwined. I forgot about her weirdly drawn cleavage. They are a little bit like two obese rats. I'm like, he's not necessarily wrong with how they sit on her chest. Exactly. Now kiss. There was a visible rosiness in his ethereally pale cheeks. Um, master. Flickers of panic darted beneath the surface of his normally stony red eyes. They were trembling as he looked over at me. I was at a loss for words. We must have been under the moon's spell. We weren't thinking. We stood alone in a frozen world, robbed of all rational thought. Riding the moonlight's current, his hand fell against my cheek. It was much colder than I had expected, but it felt pleasant on my flushed skin. As we drew closer, I could feel the warmth emanating from his body, and I'm sure he could feel mine. The beating of my heart, too. His breathing stopped for a moment, and he gulped. He brought his head in. I closed my eyes, and... Uh-oh. Then I shoved him away with all my strength. Michael rolled back, knocked his head on the side of a pew, and began groaning in pain, which is when I finally realized what I had done. What have you done, Giselle? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Um, are you hurt? I'm fine. Sorry, you startled me. I really, truly didn't mean to knock you down. You should go back to your room. I'm sorry for all the trouble I've caused you tonight. What? Get some rest. Good night. Yeah, can you do that again, but harder? Uh, He turned away, marching off into the corridor enshrouded in darkness. There was a heavy air of loneliness hanging over him, which gave rise to phantom images of him actually disappearing into the darkness. I had caused that, but I hadn't realized until it was too late. It felt like someone was sitting on my chest. Why would I ever do that to him? Of course I'm going to hurt him reacting like that. Maybe I was hoping he would say it was just one of his jokes. Do I want it to be a joke? I had that option. I could pretend nothing ever happened and tomorrow go back to the way things were before. But if I did that, there would almost certainly never be a second chance. You were okay with it. You wanted it, Giselle. Quit lying to yourself. You're the one who said you loved him. And that was no mistake. You wouldn't sit shoulder to shoulder and read a book with someone you didn't care for. You wouldn't enjoy eating supper with someone you didn't like. You wouldn't be able to live happily with someone you didn't love. You have to go after him. Find him and tell him the truth. Come on, Giselle. Go, go, go. I feel like I'm watching a rom-com right now, and I'm actually rooting for them. What am I doing, for God's sake? I'm not in my right mind. Something about me was off today. I couldn't control myself. I was saying things I didn't mean, doing things I didn't intend to. I had never meant to do that. But at this point, I had no choice but to admit my feelings. I couldn't pretend I didn't know what they were anymore. How long had I felt this way? A week? A month? 6 months? Or maybe a full year? Had they already developed when we started anew? No, the when didn't matter. It didn't change the facts. I was still attracted to her, regardless of when it had begun. But she pushed me away, quite literally. I sighed at myself. Why should I be disappointed? She was nothing like me. I was reclusive and unsociable. She was the exact opposite. She was the kind of person who would confidently tell someone how she felt. And she had done exactly that. Said I was like a brother. But I hadn't listened. As a matter of fact, could I have been any more presumptuous? I don't deserve to love anyone. It's better this way. Master! There we go. We're now in 1100. Old English is officially dead. What? I told you to go back to your room. Master, I need you to listen to me, okay? What? About what just happened. That doesn't count. You can't count any of that. Huh? That I said I loved you and that I shoved you, they don't count. Right, I was planning to forget that anyway. So don't worry. No, that's not what I mean. What I'm saying is that it's not something I should have said on a whim just because the moonlight was kind of pretty tonight. It wasn't supposed to be so casual. The way I said it doesn't get across at all how much I really care about you. It should have been something with more impact, rather. Me looking you straight in the eyes, my heart jumping like it's on fire. That's how I should have said it. What are you? I'm saying, I want you to give me one more chance to do it right. Giselle. I Calm yourself. I am calm. In no sense of the word are you calm. Fine then, I'm not calm, but I am clear-headed, and I mean every last word. Listen very carefully. I love you. I love you so much I feel like my heart is going to explode. What? Huh? You mean like family? Like a brother, right? Romantic love! Romantic! What? I wasn't upset back there. No, I was elated. What? My mind couldn't keep up with what it was hearing. Half out of breath where she stood, Giselle was frantically insisting that she loved me. Was I dreaming? Master, how do you... I would like to hear how you feel about me. Assuming I interpreted that correctly, you were there, right? Right? So I can take that as your answer? Uh, yeah, I love you like family, like as in a wife and a husband. Giselle looked up at me with bleary eyes. She she had feelings for me. It was a miracle. I could hardly breathe. It felt like someone had stuck their hand in my chest and was squeezing my heart. I just had to say yes, and a smile would spread across her face. I could bring her joy, and all it would take was a single word. I had no reason to say no. My happiness was standing right there in front of me. What more could I ask for? All I had to do was reach out and claim it for myself. I had tried to do that in the chapel, and I could do it again. I, I, I loved her. I was a twisted man, cast out of the world and left with nothing. I had no way to make her happy. But still, I. Don't tell me you've forgotten what you are. Tell me! I. There was no moonlight to give me that nudge. Do not feel that way about you. Michael, what? What? I got confused for a moment. I apologize for the misunderstanding that seems to have caused. All the color drained from her, like a flower wilting before my eyes. A heavy sigh spilled from her lips. Her jade eyes swayed lifelessly back and forth. I hadn't thought mere love could possibly have such weight, but she looked as though I had just told her she was to be executed. I I see. Yeah. Chicken. Coward. I'm sorry. I let it get to my head. Uh, sorry for making such a racket. Really, God, what was I thinking? I got way ahead of myself there. Her faux energy hurt to watch. I had hurt her, and this was the result. You wanted to protect yourself, even if it meant hurting her. But look where that got you. You would have been better off just going with it. Because when she learned the truth, she would have pushed you away anyway. I'm sorry. I'll be going now. Sorry for barging in on you like that. She made her way into the shadows towards the door. There, you did it. You preserved your peace. I got the feeling she would never again turn back. Your mistake was ever getting close to anyone. What I had always wanted was right there in front of me, and I was so close to obtaining it. And you pushed her away. I actually did love her. She would never love the real you. No, she couldn't. You're disgusting. I can't believe you actually had the gall to fall for me. Ugh. Good night, Master. She was leaving. I wanted her here, and she was leaving. I simply had to acknowledge my feelings, and she would come back. Was I really content to let her go? In my weakness, I mistreated her. I hurt her. I let her go, and I was about to lose her, even though she said she loved me. And I felt the same way. Wait, please don't go. Your voice is shaking like a scared child. What are you hoping to tell her like that? I've got a weird conspiracy theory that is probably not right, but I'm wondering, like we know about Abby, sort of. Like what if, as we've been going through all of these stories, basically, the different doors, like it's always been sort of framed like the Michael character, Mel and all of them, was in love with Abby. What if Giselle has actually been like Nellie the whole time, and Abby's actually been getting in the middle of it for some reason? I don't know. The theory isn't there yet, but something's weird here. I I She was different. She was probably No, she absolutely was nothing like anyone in my past. She won't be any different. I decided I would try just one more time. I To believe in myself and to believe in someone else. Yeah, Bestia is a really good example of that. Like where I can't remember her name. Pauline and Yukimasa, like Abby was literally in the middle of that. Abby gets in the middle between Mel and Nellie and really isn't any, like different, I guess. Um yeah, Abby is married to Jacopo, which means that Mary was the servant. So, yeah, Hot Maid's characters are all representations of girls who got cucked by Abby. I lied. Giselle, from the bottom of my heart, you'll regret this. No, I won't. I sincerely love you. The fragrance of rose enveloped me. Her arms, wrapped around my chest, were both imbued with strength and shaking like mad, as though the slightest touch might shatter them. Oh, why didn't you just say that in the first place? She said in a quavering, sniveling voice just inches from my ear. I lacked sufficient control over my mind or body to return her embrace, to run my hands through her hair, or to do anything more than to support her weight. I'm sorry. Jerk. Bully. Brute. You don't get to play this one off as a joke. I am truly, sincerely sorry. You've given me two different stories. Tell me, which one's the truth? Were you just confused, or do you actually love me? I want to hear you say it again. The truth is, I love you. Again. I I love you. Without fumbling this time. I love you, as I've said several times now. Not good enough again. Have mercy, please. I'm about to die of humiliation. Can I really believe you this time? You're not going to say you were lying again? No, I won't. Then we both feel the same way about each other? Shockingly enough. What's there to be shocked about? I didn't think there was anything likable about me. Ugh, you really have to do something about that pessimism. I'll try. I'm in heaven. I'm so happy I could cry. You were all over me. Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness. When you first said no, everything went black. I wasn't sure what I would do anymore. I'd lost all hope. I really, really do feel bad about that. But you had a change of heart. Now you're willing to have me. Yes. And everything I bring with me. That was the idea. Absolutely everything, right? You're pushing that point rather hard. I have a request. Hmm? It's something I don't think I could ask. I don't think I could ask you any time but now, while we're in the moment. I will do anything, so long as it's within my ability. Tell me, what is it? This is not exactly where I thought we were going. Will you look at my naked body? What? More specifically, My scars. You are going to have to see them eventually, in which case, I'd like that to be now. A year ago, I had refused to look at her scars. I'd been certain I wouldn't be able to accept what they represented, the abuse my father had subjected her to. If possible, I would have preferred never having to face that. But I, more than anyone, needed to know. It was my responsibility. I had to accept reality, not grimace or avert my eyes. I had to face up to what had been done to her. Okay. I couldn't bring myself to look at her as she hesitantly disrobed. The sound of her clothes rustling made me feel as though I was doing something incredibly improper. As much as I tried to feign calm, I was so tense my joints were practically creaking, and my heart felt like it was being stepped on. I feel like I'm made of stone. I'm ready. You can turn around. All right. I'll count to 10. She's laughing at me. I feel a whole lot better seeing you so nervous. I'm turning around. Okay. Her head was tilted down just enough to keep me from making out her expression, but she couldn't hide the pink flush spreading across her cheeks. It contrasted well against her white, but not excessively pale skin, as did her jet black hair. Sorry, it's not anything nicer to look at. In what way was this not a pleasant sight? I had never been more entranced by anything in my entire life. She was stunning. I had no measure of comparison, but I was certain the same sight of any other woman in the world would not have had the same effect on me. I could say as much with confidence, despite having never seen another woman nude. I wondered if he'd ever seen another naked woman, or whether this was going to be the first time. Hypnotized, I couldn't take my eyes off the gentle curves of her body. Were I more socially inclined, perhaps I could have told her she was pretty, which perhaps would have brought a sheepish smile to her face. And though I wanted to, my throat was as dry as dust, and all I could manage to produce were incoherent rasps. Please, please say something. Uh, uh, I'm hideous, aren't I? I'm unclean. You're not hideous. You mean it? I mean it. Why would you think so? Because you are not unclean. Not in the slightest. You mean it? I do. Even seeing this? Giselle's eyes slid downward, a trace of fear lurking just beneath the surface. Following her lead, I dropped my gaze to her lower body. And there, I saw her scars. Swollen red and black gashes, still not healed after more than a year, defiled her white flesh. As she had described for me, the lines were arranged to form letters carved into her skin. Ah, so that's why she said I would have to see them eventually. I know, her hands are really well defined. There's two things I keep thinking about when I see this. One is, like, I keep staring at her hands, but the other is, like, that is totally not the best way to hide your boobs as someone who has had to hide their boobs with their arms before. Like, yeah. My instincts told me that these were wounds she would carry for the rest of her life. I felt nauseous, heartbroken, infuriated, at the fact that the person who had done this was out of my reach, at the fact that I could do nothing for her. What went through my father's mind when he looked at these? What did he gain from giving her these wounds? Why did he have to do this to her? Why my father, of all people? Giselle was the one with the scars. Giselle was the one in pain. But I felt like someone had shoved a handful of needles into my chest. Dozens of thick metal stakes piercing the walls of my heart, blood streaming through me like a river. If I didn't force myself to face it, I was liable to run. What was the right thing to say? What was I supposed to tell her? As hard as I thought, I couldn't come up with an answer. All I could come up with was intense frustration. It killed me that I couldn't take these scars from her. I just had the stupidest thought. I was like, maybe that's how you would hold two obese rats. And absolutely not the time to have that thought. Sorry. It killed me that I couldn't take these scars from her. That I couldn't give my father a piece of my mind. You are in no way hideous, no matter what marks are left on your body. It took all I had to form that single sentence. Thank goodness. I'm so glad to hear that. When I was down in that village, they said it didn't matter what they did to me because I was already dirty. That made me think I had reached the point where I was so tainted, anyone could see it. I'm sorry. Why should you apologize? You were frowning really intensely. They are the electric guitar riffs and the music. Like the music keeps like pulling me out of it as well because I keep sitting there like listening to it going, "Oh, that's nice." I thought I might have made you mad. No, I'm not angry at you. I'm angry at my father, the villagers, and myself. May I touch them? You may. My hands were trembling, but I knew I wouldn't be doing her any favors by hesitating. As soon as my fingertips brushed her skin, she shuddered. Uh, Does it hurt? No, there hasn't been pain in some time. I could feel her trembling where I touched her. It didn't seem like it was going to subside anytime soon. Uh, mm. Soon she began whimpering softly. Her lips moved as though she was trying to say something, but the best she managed was a few strained gasps. Tears had begun welling up in her eyes as well. I feel like I'm in heaven right now, but I also kind of hate myself. Hate yourself? But why? But because I can't stop shaking. I'm overjoyed to feel your touch, but I can't control my body. I know you're nothing like that, but I keep seeing flashes of you doing other things in my mind. It kills me that my body won't react the way I feel in my heart. I was foolish to have ever thought these wounds might have healed. Just as scars remained on her body, so too did they remain in her heart. Unlike the physical wounds, though, the ones inside her seemed to still be raw and bleeding. She just did such a good job of acting normal that I had begun to think she might have gotten past them. Of course not, you blind fool. You shoved me back there because it brought back those memories? That's right. I'm sorry. I'm really, truly sorry. Why are you apologizing? I should be the one. Do you have any desire to place a curse on him? Are we talking literally? Michael? Is there something that you need to tell us? What? Do you want to curse Antonin? If you so desire. I might be able to make it happen. Okay! Let's do a curse. Let's do a curse. Cast a curse on him. Perhaps even a fatal one. Ignore the fact that he's my father. I don't consider that man family anymore. I want you to be honest with me. Is this a conversation we could have, like, when she's clothed? If, hypothetically, such a thing were possible, would you want to curse him? No, I wouldn't want that. Why not? You have every right to take revenge. For what that man did, he deserves punishment. He inflicted so much pain on you. You're still shaking more than a year later, and you can just let him get away with it out of the goodness of your heart? Hypothetically, if you wanted to curse him, I wouldn't do it even hypothetically, and not out of the goodness of my heart. I'm just a coward.
A coward?
If curses were real and he were to die by one, then I would never, ever be able to forget. If my resentment for him took his life, that would mean he had damaged me so permanently I was never able to get past it. I don't want that. I want to be able to forget. I'm still shaking now. But one day, I want to be able to proclaim proudly that it no longer has any control over me.
The guitar makes me think of Sanctuary. I keep expecting, like, the, Utada Hikaru's voice to come in afterwards.
But I appreciate the sentiment. Setting aside your choice of method, you asked out of concern, and that's more than enough for me.
She really does have a really good head on her shoulders. She wants to end the cycle of suffering.
A soft smile spread across her lips, but all it inspired in me was powerlessness. She was putting on an act. Was the sentiment really more than enough? Of course not. Not when she was still trembling so much. But what was I to do? What was I, unable to leave this house and helpless against the will of the Bullingers, to do? I was incapable of assuaging her pain, wasn't I?
It really is. Like, Sanctuary is the perfect song for this story. It would go great in the background.
I couldn't do anything. Could I? Before I throw in the towel, I need to take some real time to think. To stop running from the problem. To figure out a real way to give her what she wants. That doesn't involve curses and angry words. There has to be something only I can do. Giselle? I took the hand that had been tracing her scars and slid it around her waist. Even now, her trembling showed no signs of abating. I will never, the one thing I could do, hurt you again, was to wrap her trembling body in my arms. I want you here with me. All I ask of you for now is to be at my side. You can be scared and you can quiver, but please don't apologize for it. Please don't feel bad about it. I promise not to turn my head away from your pain. So I ask of you, try not to keep it buried. I have no power or influence. I don't know all the right things to say. I'm a man with nothing to his name. But the one thing I do have is a heartfelt desire to do whatever I can for you. As soon as I tightened my grip around her waist, she lurched forward, throwing her arms around me. Muffled whimpers resonated against my shoulder where she had buried her head. Eventually, they grew into unfettered sobs.
Oh, poor girl.
And my bedchamber was enveloped in the sound of weeping. She cried like a little child. The usually strong-willed, cheerful, optimistic Giselle wailed from the depths of her soul. This past year, she had constantly been nudging me forward. It was always her leading the way. There had undoubtedly been moments where she'd wanted to cry like this but couldn't. So, starting now, I was going to try and support her too. I was sure I was going to mess something up, as I had little experience being caring. I would probably anger her, probably stress her out, and probably make her cry. But I had found my resolve. I had overcome my hesitation. I was sure I could do it. That I could create a place where she could find peace. I could surely. Giselle didn't stop crying until the sun had begun peeking over the horizon. I had, as I had said, not looked away, simply holding her in silence. She had a decidedly not childlike frame, but she seemed incredibly small in my arms. We felt each other's warmth through my clothes. Between sniffles, Giselle said softly, "One day I'm certain I'll be able to, without any hesitation, be properly joined with you, and it will be wonderful. Right now, I still can't control the shaking, but eventually, I want to be able to put my hands on you too. The affection infused in each and every word was palpable. Sometime later, she drifted off to sleep, exhausted. I prayed from the bottom of my heart that at least tonight she would have pleasant dreams.
Did she get redressed? Because waking up undressed, possibly in his bed, would freak her the fuck out. Um, Morning. No, afternoon.
Master!
Uh,
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, come on. Put a little more oomph into it.
Same Giselle as always.
I must say, last night was something, Master. I didn't know you had that in you. Just thinking about it. Ow! Hey, that hurt. What was that for?
I was struck with an insatiable urge to whack you.
Whatever happened to your heartfelt desire to do what you can for me? I don't think hitting me counts.
You're tough enough to get over a little bonk.
You were being so nice yesterday. Where did that go?
So, would you like to explain why you're making dirty jokes first thing in the morning?
Yeah, just... I was trying to lighten the mood to hide my embarrassment.
Fair enough. Alright, but could you not joke about that in the future? I didn't actually do anything to you.
No, you didn't. Sorry. Say, could I ask you something?
Yes.
You hardly ever use my name. It makes us feel so distant.
Girl, you call him master. Yeah, bonk. Now go to horny jail.
Could you do something about that, maybe?
Babe?
No. That is not you at all. Just go with my name, please. Well, we've graduated from a master-servant relationship to a romantic relationship, but that is a bit much.
Romantic relationship.
Exactly. So, in honor of the new us, let's make this last, all right, Michael?
All right.
At the time, the light that had entered our life seemed unreal and fantastical, but I prayed that it would indeed last. In hope of an equally bright future, I allowed myself to rejoice in the moment, letting the unconquered shadows that lurked in my peripheral remain unseen. Blackness consumes the once colorful space. Giselle still stands before me, as she did within the door, but I struggle to reconcile the two scenes. They are both real. They are both her. The lively, spunky girl of the past and the lifeless girl of the present are both Giselle. As different as they seem, they are both her. Why don't we stop there? It was a wonderful story. They overcame their troubles and lived happily ever after. Is that not good enough? It could not be worse than where we are now. All we have to do then is erase the now. Throw everything away and start over from where it was better. You were able to bear them because they weren't your tragedies. And that goes for more than just me. Actually, as a matter of fact, those words apply even better to her than me. The ending is already set in stone. It's already happened. What point is there in watching it again? All that accomplishes is making me relive it all. The ending has not been written. We are both here now, which means our end still lies ahead of us. Then, can I ask you to promise not to let go of my hand, no matter what? No matter what happens, you mustn't let go of my hand.
Now I understand. That was a request, even if she didn't perceive it as such. In place of a verbal response, I squeeze her hand in mine. I know where this tale is heading, toward tragedy. All the other doors we visited ended in tragedy, and ours is no exception. But perhaps what's waiting at the end of this one is even more dire than I imagine. The door to our past swings open once more, behind which lies the end of me and the beginning of her.
All right. I think we're gonna end here for tonight because it's a nice like cliffhanger. I feel like it like it's I don't know, it's got some weight in it. Exactly. Haunt made the ending hasn't been written yet because we're still here. When this is all over, we can go back to the eternal darkness with you like in the first ending. We just will have remembered all of this. So, same thing, right? I think maybe next time we'll finish this door. I don't know. We'll at least see what the tragedy is because sounds like we're really close to that. So, we'll end here for tonight. Next stream is Sunday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific. Trying to think about if I have any announcements. I do have announcements. The YouTube channel is back up and running. So we will start getting, let's see, I think the first video posts tomorrow. We have like 30 in the backlog because I thought Lemur was handling it after a conversation that we'd had, and she was not yet. So we have a lot of videos. We've got a little bit of a backlog. We are going to go on hiatus pretty soon because I've got to do some traveling for work. But so you'll get some nice catching up through all of that. So do check that out. The link is below this video, I believe, on Twitch. I'm in mod view, so I can't see it. But yeah, so check that out. Otherwise, that's all I got. Thanks for hanging out, all, and see you on Sunday. Have a good weekend. Bye.